August 2nd meeting of the Amherst County Service Authority to order. The time is 1:30 p.m. First thing on the agenda is any citizen comment. Seeing none, we'll move on to approval of the agenda. Board, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Okay, motion on the floor by Mr. Wade. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. Approval of the minutes. Have you guys had a chance to review the June 7th meeting minutes?
Make a motion unless there's any discussion that we approve the minutes for June 7th, 2022.
Okay. Motion on the floor by Mr. Q. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. All right, Mr. Hopkins, monthly financial report.
You've got both reports, one for May and one for June. Unless you all have any questions, I really don't have anything to add to it. I'm ready to answer questions if you all have any.
Okay. Board? A lot of clicking. Mr. Wade, any questions?
Yeah, I'm catching up.
Okay, we'll stand by a second.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing too.
Man, sometimes I'm not running it too quick enough, and sometimes I'm running it too quick. Mr. Hopkins, is there anything significant you'd like to point out?
No, not really, other than the fact we seem to be doing fairly well. I mean, not as well as we would like with the increases we had at the beginning of the year, but we're in the black overall, except for the non-operational money, which, and we've talked about that many times in the past.
Well, that's good then. You're operating at a surplus at this point.
Except for the non-operational revenues, yes.
Yeah, but that we understand.
Oh, right, exactly.
We understand that deal. We've discussed that so much that I think we don't even want to talk about it unless it's pertinent to the conversation.
Right.
I'm good. I don't have any questions.
So that was for May and June, correct?
Yes, sir.
You can go ahead.
Good, okay. All right, old business, executive director's report.
Okay, you all have the report. I do have, there's been a lot been going on the last couple of weeks, so I do have some additional updates since I published this. Number one, I sent you all the email about the getting the phone call from Senator Warner's office, and so that $2 million for that Riverbank stabilization project is in the draft U.S. budget. And he said that's the big snag. If you get it in there and they don't, not approve it and go with a recurring resolution, then they probably are not going to take it out. So he says the chances are looking really good that we're going to get that money.
So how much would that do?
That'll finish it. That'll finish the gap between the 2007 project and the 2018 project.
Okay, now, you've been stockpiling a lot of material. Would that be using that material or not?
What I'm planning on doing, because we're not going to get, the money won't be available till it's fiscal year 2023 money. We won't get that money until next year, and I've asked them, I've got a question in there, are we allowed to go ahead and start with the work and get reimbursed when the money is, I can start with work now and get reimbursed later, and they said they'd get back with me on that. But I'm already talking with the contractor for the dam construction project, and he said he's willing to work out a deal where he would get us a track hoe, a big track hoe and an operator to take it down to the river and actually place the big stone at the water's edge to use as the beginning of this project. So he and I are going to meet down there this Friday and talk about that.
Okay.
On the VC Home Park project, we're over halfway done with the water main installation. We should be done this month. And I'm talking with Tim Mitchell with the city's Water Resources Department, he's the manager, about installing a valve on the line that goes from, their line that supplied CVTC that goes from the John Lynch Bridge all the way to CVTC. I'm thinking it would be a good idea to put a valve on that line right after River Edge Park so that they can continue to serve the services, the buildings down near the river. And of course, we'll take care of everything up on the plateau. What I don't want to do is just reverse the problem that we've got right now, which is that all the water is sitting in that line for so long when it's coming from the city that it goes bad by the time it's used. If most likely the fact that of course our line is up on top of the hill, so the head is probably going to overcome the city's head, and that could create the exact same problem for the services we got down near the river. So I'm thinking if we put a valve there, cut it off, and then the city can supply them. So I'll keep talking to Tim about that. I mentioned in the email we got the $250,000 grant for the dam extension, and I executed the grant agreement this morning, sent it back to the Virginia Resources Authority. I think we're finally going to get a meeting set up for the easement we need for the Westfield Port sewer extension. It's been over a year that their engineers just kept putting us off, but they just finished a revision of their proposed project on the property north, just immediately to the north, Violet's View, and I think they are now at a point where they say that they're thinking that our easement and our sewer will not affect them, so they're going to sit down with us hopefully next week. Let's see. I'm still working with McGuire Woods on resolving the Seminole Plaza project. They call me about once every other week asking for information to help them try to confirm and prove to the shopping center owners that they actually do own and are responsible for that system. And I just mentioned the dam contractor. We're talking to him about the Riverbank Stone. Also going to get him to, we're going to start off on Friday down at the water plant. We need to have the weir dredged, the impoundment weir dredged, because we've just lost a lot of our storage capacity behind that weir, and it's actually washing sand and grit into the water plant, or to the pumps that go to the water plant. So I'm going to talk to him about getting all that dredged out. And that's all I've got, unless you all have any questions.
Mr. Wade?
Has there been any update on the Morecambe property, or the Morecambe development, I should say?
Yes, sir. Did I send you a letter? Somebody, maybe it was Mr. Woods, asked me that question. Mr. Morecambe called me about 2 weeks ago, asked for an update. He said he needed a letter for the rezoning package that he was going to put into the county, a letter that described the status of the sewer project to see whether or not, so they have some bona fides that yes, we can get sewer down there. And I did send him a letter. I can send you a copy of it if you'd like. And it basically said that I'm cautiously optimistic that this is going to be able to work, but we're going to need more funding.
More funding as in excess of $500,000 possibly?
Well, the original estimate from Hurt and Profit, and if I remember correctly, this was before the last year or so of skyrocketing construction costs, was $1.6 million to do this project. Now, I thought that was high, and Mike, a lot of times Mike estimates high, but then I haven't done that kind of project in quite a while, so he's probably more up to date on it than I am. But yeah, I think we're definitely going to need more money to do this, and that was one of the things that I told Mr. Morecambe when he first came to me about this a year or so ago. I told him, we've got this money from the county, $1 million from the county, but that is probably not going to do this project, and the Service Authority has no money to put into this. So we're going to be looking to the developers who are going to benefit from this to chip in some of the money to help out with this. And he didn't really say anything one way or the other, but he is at least aware of that.
Okay. Yeah, there's a email that had been sent out by a member of the Board of Supervisors in regards to this, and supposedly the property, the rezoning is supposed to go before the Board of Supervisors on the 18th of this month, I think. I'm not for sure, and it said something that the developer was skeptical of the project unless there was some kind of provisions in place for the sewer. But you haven't heard nothing back in regards to that. I know you sent the letter out saying feasibly, this isn't gonna be able to be done in the blink of an eye. It's gonna take planning, construction, and so forth. It's gonna take a while to bring this thing online, right?
I told him that my best estimate would get it done by the end of 2023, but that if I was a developer or if I was his engineer, I would be a little bit more conservative and say end of 2024. These projects take a long time to develop. They really do.
And so, this sewer area that you're talking about putting in, who would it benefit? Would it benefit anyone else other than the people building the potential development?
Well,
Or right now, it would basically benefit those involved in that development, right?
Yes, sir. The main purpose, we couldn't have gotten the county ARPA money if it only served economic development. So what we've got a 20-year-old low-pressure force main system that DEQ made the Service Authority put in 20 years ago to eliminate straight pipe discharges into the river. I actually designed that project. I told Dan at the time, this is probably at best a 20-year Band-Aid, and then you're going to have to do something 20 years. Well, it's now been 20 years, and we're starting to get complaints about it not doing what it's supposed to do. So we need to do something, and that was the justification for the ARPA money, replacing that system with this pump station and force main. But that also allows us to oversize both, so that we can also accommodate the proposed development for those 4 or 5 big properties down there.
So it helps correct an existing problem, but also would sewer an area for development.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
And this is the line that comes down River Road and
It would be on the River Road between Kings Road and Thomas. The wet wells, we're thinking 2 wet wells, well, maybe 1 initially, we'll probably need 2 eventually, because the rock is about 13 foot deep. But the wet wells would be on the south side of River Road, between the road and the river, and the pumps, controls, generator and everything would probably be on a bluff on the other side of the road to get it up out of the floodplain.
Define wet well.
It's the storage pipe, the storage silo, where the water goes into the pumps there and they pump it out from there.
Might not need to get into, what happens if it floods?
Given that it's just, you mean that if the river floods?
Yeah.
Well, we may end up pumping some river water in addition to our wastewater. But what I want to do is set it
But you
up.
won't be dumping, I guess what I'm saying is, if you put it that close to the river, would you be dumping wastewater into the river?
Oh, no, sir. No, sir. It'll be a sealed wet well.
Oh, I see. Okay, thank you.
And the reason I want to put the pumps and everything on the other side on the bluff is so that we can set it up so it will continue to operate in a flood situation.
I tend to agree with you that a developer, whoever it may be, regardless of who it is, should definitely put forth money for that type of project. You know, I might be a lone voice in that, but I mean, $1 million is already coming out of whoever you want to say, it's the taxpayers' money. So I have no problem. If they want something like that done, then, you know, I think it would certainly help if they had some skin in the game, like they say. That's my position.
Without this system, there's no development down there, because there's no other way to get, that I can conceive, to get wastewater out of there.
Sounds like they might have to have some, quote, skin in the game if it's more than what's been allocated, right? Okay. All right, anything else on Mr. Hopkins'
No, sir.
report? Gentlemen, anything else?
No.
All right, well, we'll move on to the Assistant Director's report.
Well, Mr. Hall had an emergency, so he had to leave. So you've got the report. If you have any questions, I'll write them down and get answers for you. Mr. Slade is here. He's the intern that's been working with us for the last couple of months. He hasn't attended the meeting and thought his last day, I think, is this Friday. He wanted to attend the meeting, and at the same time, I thought maybe you all would want to, whether you all want to ask him some questions about his impressions of the Service Authority and his work or anything like that, or if you don't want to put him on the spot, that's okay too.
Let's save that thought to the end of the meeting.
Okay?
And, all right, any questions on Mr. Hall's report? yes, no?
I have no
I don't-
questions.
I don't have any questions.
The last time I heard, we were working on some cybersecurity to help protect the system, and, of course, I've already read through it, so I have no
Okay, very
questions.
good. All right, 2022 amended budget.
Yes, sir. As you recall, we had to enact or get you all to adopt an interim budget back in, I guess it was in February or March, because we were in a situation where we hadn't yet approved the rates adjustments, so I couldn't finish a budget, and it was either Mr. Lockaby or Mr. Popovich informed me very pointedly that we could not be spending money without an adopted budget. So I put together an amended budget and sent it to you all in June for review and comment. And since then, I've sat down with senior staff and we've made some changes, mostly having to do going back and looking at the final financial report for last year and looking at the invoices we're seeing for this year. And we've been I had to make some adjustments to increase things like chemicals, which have gone up, fuel, gasoline and heating oil, all that kind of stuff. So this is what I sent you all Thursday afternoon, and put into the budget is what I'm proposing as the amended budget to get us through the rest of this year. And if you all need more time to look at it, I can bring it back to next month.
It might not make the attorney happy.
I'm fine. This is clears things up. Anyway, no public hearing, nothing like that, just we need a motion, that's it, correct? I'll make a motion that the ACSA Board adopted an amended budget as presented for the remainder of 2022.
Motion on the floor by Mr. Pugh. All those in favor signify by saying aye. I vote aye. There you go. All right. Wastewater infrastructure improvements.
You'll recall last month, showed you all a map, planning map for water infrastructure improvements. So, and I said at the time I was going to come back at the August meeting and do wastewater. So the blue line that goes around the entire area there is the designated growth area. And you've got a list in your packet of various projects. Number one is Westfield Port, which we've already talked about. It's just it's right there if you can see my cursor. It's a very short extension that's been on hold for a year, waiting for the developer and the property owner north of us to meet with us to talk about an easement that we need. But as soon as we get that in there, we've got 10 immediate sanitary sewer connections. We executed the agreement with the developer of the Westfield properties that all future development in that area will connect to serviceability sewers, and he's agreed to give us all the easements that we need. Next one is Berkshire Place, which but you're all familiar with this. This is the, I'm sorry, no, here it is. What we're looking at doing, this is the Ivanhoe Forest Pump Station, and what I'm looking at doing, as we've talked about in the past, we've got 2 treatment plants that are over 40 years old now, and they've about reached their anticipated service life, and DEQ came up with some new rules yesterday, in 2019, for wastewater discharges. The ammonia nitrogen levels were drastically lowered, and from talking with various consultants,
What I was hearing, that it was going to cost at least $250,000 to upgrade each of these plants to handle that. And so had the idea of, Dan had talked about a long time ago about wanting to replace these eventually with pump stations. So I talked with people at the Virginia Association of Municipal Wastewater Agencies about going to DEQ and trying to get them to change their policy of not providing grants for what they call transmission projects, which are pump stations. And they agreed, and they went and talked to some people at the General Assembly, and actually got a law passed to the General Assembly to require DEQ to consider a project like this for their grant program. And right now, per that law, we would be eligible for at least $250,000 in grants for each of those projects. So the idea here is going to be to replace West Briar with a pump station, Ivanhoe treatment plant with a pump station, pump, extend sewers in neighboring areas here, and pump up to Winesap Road and get into a sewer that would then gravity flow down to Ivanhoe, and Ivanhoe would pump to sewer up on Route 29. So we're looking at an extension right here. It's about a 400 or 500 foot extension to get up to here, which would also, if I can get the easements to do this, it would also conceivably allow us to do another extension down here and serve those 3 habitat properties. I've been out to the homeowner that we need the first easements from 4 times, and I just can't catch them home. So I'm going to try to go out there tonight. Next one is Lakeside Drive. Any questions on any of those? The next one is down in the middle of Madison Heights. It's Lakeside Drive. It's another project that I've been trying to get easements for about 2 years. I need 2 more, one of which is promised, but I just can't get the owner to, can't pin them down to get them to do it. But we've already got, we've got approved drawings from VDOT. We've got permits, we've got everything we need. All we got to do is just get these last 2 easements and then bid and construct the project. And we just talked about River Road.
Bob, and that's in a spot where there's failing septic tank systems and so forth, right?
Yes,
That's down off Seminole Drive, correct?
yes.
Okay.
That could be paid for with the service authority, the grant, the common money that we've been getting from the county for the last several years.
Okay.
And that's also.
Mr.
I did
Hopkins,
mention-
can you, get closer to a mic or broadcasting, and I don't think people can hear you? Please. Thank you. That's better, I guess.
Okay. Also on that project, there's an old private sewage pump station on Delwood that overflows about once a year. It overflowed about 2 months ago. And the real impetus for this project was originally to get sanitary sewer there so we could get rid of that private pump station, which has been a thorn in our side and the health department's side for decades. Because every time it overflows, people blame the service authority, and then the health department's got to get involved, and it just gets to be a pain. Okay, we've talked about the River Road, which is down here, right along the river. And again, that's between Kings Road and Thomas Road. One that I didn't, it's not shown on the map, but I've talked in the past about, in the last few months, about the Monacan Indian project on Dixie Airport. There's going to be, we've got a 6-inch line that comes off their property to a sewer along Dixie Airport Road, which is too small, and the developer is going to replace that with an 8-inch line. And then you can see, I didn't put any detail in it, but you can see I've noted that replacing the 2 treatment plants with pump stations. So those are the main projects that I'm looking at over the next, say, 10 years. Now, I'm sure there will be other projects, whether it's for developers like the River Road project, or repair projects, or if we can find a small extension project that we can do relatively quickly, of course, we would jump in and do those kind of things. But these are the major projects that I'm looking at doing.
So, thank you, Mr. Hopkins, that's very helpful. So, really, the only project that would encourage or accommodate development would be the River Road line. The other projects are,
Well, Westfield Port will certainly Because he's got about a half dozen empty lots up there that he wants to build on.
I'm kind of looking at return on investment though, but, 5 or 10 houses
True.
to the cost of a sewer line.
Right. Yes, sir, you're correct.
So the majority of these things are really more like maintenance and replacement type projects.
Yes, sir.
And do you have a cost associated with that?
Not yet. I'm working on the cost for the water, and I'll start working on the cost for these also.
Are there any other areas that you see where a sewer or water extension could help accommodate development?
Well, we talked about water last time. I mentioned 3 or 4 major projects that would open up some significant areas in the county for development. For sewer, I've seen the plan for Mr. Patel's property, at least the first phase of it. And of course, you've got this big area right here for the town center. I'm guessing that most of that development will be, most of the sewer for that will be done by him. But what we really need more than anything else, I mean, we're pretty much set up on sewer on the east side of 29. We've got almost nothing on the west side. And what we need to do, in my opinion, is a project similar on the west side to what Dan or what the Service Authority did many years ago, and put a trunk sewer. A trunk sewer was installed along Williams Run. It eventually went all the way down to the river, the big pump station, and it opened up this. You can see all the development that went in through there. Wouldn't have been possible without that trunk sewer. And I think we need to do something, eventually do something similar on the left-hand side to open up all these areas, because there's just a humongous area of land that can be developed.
But, then again, that's the question, do you want to have that dense of development all through the county? I think there's places for sewer, but I mean, if you develop large enough lots, you don't need sewer in all of those areas. Some of those areas have already been developed.
You're right. That's our UDA, right?
I'm sorry?
This is our urban development area, correct?
Yes. No,
Yeah.
the growth area, but urban development, there's only one urban development area, and that's where the Patel property is.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. The blue line, because that's all the designated growth area.
So all this area on the west side between Route 29 and that blue line is all
Open for development. And of course, it's all going to be up to the Service Authority Board and the supervisors and working with county staff to figure out what you all want to do.
I think we're saying this, well, to me, when you say growth area and urban development area, to me, that means the same thing. It sounds like to you, it might mean something different. So I guess at some point, we should get a clarification on that from Mr. Bryant, or,
It's a growth area, same thing. But like urban, I always thought of the urban development area was the area where Patel is main, whatever they're calling it.
To me, isn't it the majority of Madison Heights? And
That's how I viewed it, so.
Well,
Majority Madison, everywhere within those.
Yeah.
I guess I look at it like this, I mean, if there's a potential development to go in, yeah, you could extend the lines, but to extend it in an area, I mean, maybe that would bring development. To extend it without any houses in that location, you're not gonna have much of a return in the beginning.
yeah, it's an age-old question. Do you extend it to encourage development, or do you let the development come to you?
Because we have a lot of places in Madison Heights, and we're talking about, it doesn't encourage growth, but a lot of those places are served by septic systems.
True.
And so you're gonna get all of those eventually, as the systems go down, you get those people onto the, system.
Yes, sir. Well, if you look, if I had a better map, if I could show you the area for the Ivanhoe Forest Pump Station, there's got to be hundreds of houses between the treatment plant. Hundreds of houses between the treatment plant and Route 29 that are not on sewer right now. And what I want to do is eventually, in expanding this pump station project, is eventually get sewer that whole area.
Very good. So I think moving forward, it would be nice to kind of get those concepts on a map and maybe put dollar amounts to them,
Okay.
right?
Yes, sir.
And then as we start moving forward with budgeting and what projects we want to do, that'll help us, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. All right, any questions for Mr. Hopkins?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Miscellaneous matters.
Just a few things. You can see we had quite a few personnel matters. We promoted a bunch of people. We had our little thing for the Water and Wastewater Professionals Appreciation Day, and we got our check from NRG for the voluntary shutdown of the water plant for them to test how we can help their power grid issues in the summer for almost $2,000.
Cool. Any questions? All right. Next item on the agenda is citizen comment. We're seeing none. So tell us about your thoughts. Where are you from? Where are you going to school?
I'm from Lynchburg, Virginia, so it's not too far from here, across the river. I go to Virginia Tech.
Okay.
I go back on the 22nd. It's my last year, and I'll get a civil engineering degree and come back here and figure out what I'm going to do
And
then.
work for Bob.
Hires me.
Very good.
But yeah, that's what I plan on doing. Don't exactly know what I want to do when I get out of college, but I know being with the utility service was a great experience, and I really enjoyed it. So if I could find somewhere into that, I would do that.
Very good.
Some of the things I've been doing over the summer is I've been going up to the reservoir where they're doing the spillway project, and I've been going there just about every day and documenting the progress that they've made up there. I have I made a little Excel file where I can put in like the day I went, the time, and all the weather and stuff, and then what they've done, and I've added pictures and stuff. And it really shows a big progression from when I first started going there. It was just a bunch of dirt, to be honest with you. And then now they're starting to fill things in with concrete, so it's actually starting to take shape now.
Cool.
Are you getting credit? Is this like a credit or work study from the college or anything?
No, this is just an internship over the summer.
Okay, I got you. Well, good. I went to Virginia Tech as well. What a wonderful school.
Yeah.
So, have you enjoyed your time?
Yeah, which I didn't originally start going to Tech. I went to Lynchburg College first, and then I transferred to Tech.
Uh-huh.
So my first year was during COVID, which that wasn't that fun.
Yeah.
But last year was the first year I was actually there, which was a lot better of an experience. Going to campus and seeing everything. It's huge. You get lost sometimes.
Oh, yeah, and you've enjoyed your time at the Service Authority?
Oh, yeah. It was really fun. It was very eye-opening. I saw a lot of everything that goes with engineering, too. So it's not, in school you just kind of see engineering, but you don't see like what actually goes into a project. We're going to talk to the board or, getting things approved and all the pieces that have to come into place for a project to actually happen.
Good.
He also got us a real good jump on the lead service line replacement inventories. He's been through, I think, all by now.
Yeah,
Almost
yeah.
all of our service records. And so he's got a spreadsheet set up as to which ones we need. That based on the information we got in our records, which ones we need to do, which ones we don't. But unfortunately, and this is what I saw when I first did a preliminary look a couple of years ago. There's little to no information in our records about what our inventory service line materials are. What our service line materials are. So we're almost certainly looking at doing a lot of digging and upsetting a lot of people to meet the EPA requirements. And whether or not we're going to be able to do this by October 2024, which is the deadline, I have a lot of doubts.
Just wait.
No, thank you for volunteering or getting paid, whatever it was.
Yeah, thank y'all for having me.
So,
I really enjoyed it.
Internships are a valuable thing, man.
Yeah.
I did 2 during my summers in school, so best of luck to you back at school.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate it.
So I'm glad you enjoyed your internship, and Mr. Hopkins, it sounds like you gave him a well-rounded experience.
Well, actually, as busy as I am, Richard has been doing most of the day-to-day stuff, but Richard has kept him real busy. I had tasked Richard to do the inventory, the service line stuff, And he got, when he realized what, the kind of background Sam had in computers and reports and stuff, he got him involved in that. He's done a hell of a job, really has.
Well, I appreciate you guys working with him, that's very important.
I hope they show you the spreadsheet sometime, because I'm kind of proud of that one.
That's awesome. All right.
Richard and I put some work into that thing.
Well, thank you for doing that. All right, matters from the board, Mr. Wade,
None at this time.
Mr. Pugh?
I have none.
I have none. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So
All right, we stand adjourned.
Thank you all.
Thank you.